friends of NMA for finding time to attend this program. Gentlemen of the press, ladies, I want to thank you all for the support and understanding. Finally, I thank God Almighty for his mercies on us. May God bless the Nigerian Medical Association. May God bless Rivers State and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Please, may I use this opportunity to apologize for a little change in the program. We will be taking the keynote address before the symposium by the gubernatorial candidates. This would allow some gubernatorial candidates to be here. They are just a few minutes away. So at this point, please, may I respectfully request that the keynote speaker, Dr. Daprim Ogaji, the Professor of Health Systems and Public Health, get prepared for his keynote address, while the citation will be taken by Dr. Ezine Kalu. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NMA Physician Opening Ceremony. I'll be taking the citation of the keynote speaker, who is also my consultant, my lecturer, and one of the professors I admire so much in my department. Professor Dabrim is a professor of health systems and public health. He's the director of the African Center of Excellence in Public Health and Toxicological Research at the University of Port Harcourt, and the former head of Department of Community Medicine in the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. He graduated from the University of Port Harcourt and subsequently received a fellowship in the public health from the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, Masters in Healthcare Quality around quality improvements, improving access, efficiency, and equity in healthcare, improving patients' experience, human resource for health, and improving outcomes in the management of long-term conditions. Daprim's methodological competences are in quantitative research, evidence synthesis, health systems or program evaluation, psychometric and field trials. His professional competence spans healthcare, public health, health management, leadership, health policy, quality improvement, global health, primary health care. Dabrim has been involved in the training of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals for almost 2 decades, and had led the development of 16 postgraduate programs, as well as establishment of Uniport School of Public Health and the World Bank-funded African Center of Excellence in Public Health and Toxicological Research in the University of Port Harcourt. These institutions are members of the Association of Schools of Public Health in Africa. He's a current member of the Senate of the University of Port Harcourt, member of the board of the School of Graduate Studies, member of the board of Center of Medical Research and Training in the University of Port Harcourt. Daprim is currently the editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Health Journal and also serves in the editorial board of Patient Experience Journal, PXJ. Reviewer for the Journal for Primary Healthcare Research and Development, Cambridge. Reviewer of the African Health Journal. Reviewer for BMJ Open. Reviewer for BMC Health Service Research. Reviewer for the Journal of Patient Experience, SIG. Reviewer of the Journal of Community Medicine and Primary Healthcare. Reviewer for the Port Harcourt Journal of Medicine. Reviewer for the Malawi Medical Journal. Reviewer for the Journal of Public Health and Epidemiology. Accredited surveyor for the Nigerian Society of Quality in Healthcare and reviewer for the Agency for Public Health Education Accreditation, BRUCE. His grants portfolio includes the award of $100,000 for doctoral research for the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in 2013, award for £500 travel grant for the University of Manchester, 2015, award for $6 million World Bank, AAU, FGN grant for the establishment of the African Center of Excellence for Public Health and Toxicology Research at Siputo under the ACE Impact Program 2018. Beside headship of academic units, Daprim had at various times served as Vice President of the Association of Resident Doctors, University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, Vice President of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Management, Bayelsa State Chapter, Chief Resident to the Governor of Bayelsa State and National Technical Officer in charge of monitoring of projects under MDG's Conditional Grant Scheme to 774 Local Government Council in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has also served as a consultant of Grid Consulting Limited on behalf of the State Partnership for Accountability, Responsiveness, and Capability. Surveyor during accreditation of health facilities for the Society of Quality Healthcare in Nigeria, consultant to the Federal Ministry of Health, and consultant to the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, among others. Please join me and welcome Professor Daprim Ogaji.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. May I stand on existing protocol as I warmly appreciate the NMA leadership and that of the local organizing committee, and also welcome our political actors here present, whom we believe can make life better or worse for us as a state and as a country. I'll be talking about the healthcare delivery system with special emphasis to the democratic transition that is ongoing, and we believe this could be a time, or better still, a chance to change the current narrative. I do know that we'll be hearing from the gubernatorial candidates, and so possibly this is just to give perhaps the rubrics of what the health system should be. And I believe for every well-formed political agenda, what should be considered, especially with in the context of Rivers State. So we'll be going through some of the issues around the rudiments and then look at how this applies to us as a state, and especially with the democratic transition that is going on. So when we talk about health system, we mean everything we do to support, to promote, to restore health. So all the activities, all the funds, all the institutions that are put in place, to promote, restore, and maintain health is considered to be part of the health system. So this goes beyond the remits of what we consider to be the Ministry of Health, or perhaps the hospitals we know, and so on. So everything we do, everything the politician is doing, everything the NGO is doing, everything the funders are doing to improve health is all part of the health system. And so for us as the health system, we believe that there are core structural architecture, for a health system to survive. And this is globally accepted. Now we see that based on the 6, what we call building blocks or pillars of the health system. And every intervention for the health system will cut across these 6 pillars. That goes to leadership and governance, the financing of the system, how the health workforce is generated and used, and then how commodities for health or green infrastructures are provided, and then how research is used for development, and how service, which is actually the ultimate, is delivered to the population. When all this are done, we expect the outcome to be what we currently know as our health indices, both nationally or globally. Now, going further, we see that governance is very important, for the development of the health system. And we see governance as everything that is put in place by the society to ensure that there is accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, and inclusiveness within the society. And that it can go further to look at how it operates in our own society. we see governance at different levels, at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. But within the health system, we see governance at the level of the ministries, departments, agencies, boards, commissions, and so on and so forth. You may add to the list, including the consumer and the public. And they operate generally through legislation or through policies, plans, or guidelines, and so on. This is how it operates. But we all understand that no matter what we all do, governance of the health system rests on the government, rests on the public. That is the public leadership. So when we see the NGOs doing whatever they're doing, we see other parties doing, and we don't see the government playing its own part, we show that the health system is not going to work properly, because the government or the governance or the local governance, as we call it, midwife or coordinates everything that happens within the health system. And in this way, if you have a badly structured or a badly led or an inefficiently organized or inadequately funded health system, as is the norm today in Nigeria, this can do more harm, than good to the citizen. And I believe we need to change the narrative, in this regard. So how do we see that governance structure within the Nigerian context? If you look at this slide, you will see at the federal level, all these governance boards, professional councils, and at the state level, we see that replicating itself, and also at the local government level. Now, how this works is this. Once we get the governance structure in place, that helps us to deliver health outcome. So even if we have all the 6 building blocks of the health system, we see that governance is very, very key, in it. And governance is involved with intelligence gathering, with the policy direction, with developing the implementation tools, organizing the culture of the people, of the system, which is very critical to delivering outcomes, ensuring accountability, public relations, and then protecting the public, from being exploited. So once all this is done, we see how this we go in the local health system. Our society is changing, and it's changing very fast. We appreciate this in every sphere of life, from the epidemiological point of view, from a demographic perspective, from the economic perspective, we see that the changes are going on, and this will continue in the foreseeable future. So we see systems changing, and so do our health system. But looking at Nigeria at a glance, we find out that our population is growing. Just 2 days ago, our population is about 218 million, and we are the 6th in the world by population, and we have a largely youthful population. And we see when it comes to our medical practice in Nigeria, we believe in the plural medical system, which has to do with biomedicine and alternative medical system. And our economic system is mixed, where we just oppose capitalism with socialism, depending on, I believe, the structure of the political system running each of the states in the country. But when we take a glance at the Rivers State picture, sorry, I'm a bit fast because I needed to run this up in a few minutes, but you have the slide. When we look at the Rivers State picture, we see that also we are the 7th by population in Nigeria, so we are quite large. But when it comes to revenue, we rank 2nd in the country. And then we have we have so many primary healthcare facilities. I'm not talking about the functionality now. We have secondary healthcare facilities in almost every local government, apart from 5 local governments, and including Obiako and Faga. And then we also have 4 tertiary healthcare facilities, and we see the governance structure, for health systems, in Rivers State. So like we said earlier on, this is a democratic transition, and then we observe that this is coming not at the best of times. There are quite a lot of disruptions, which I believe we are aware of, and that has to do with the issue of pandemics, natural disaster, armed conflicts, financial crisis, political instability, migration of professionals out of the country, and of course, the endemic corruption that has pervaded the landscape for a long time now. Now, the magnitude, frequency, and impact of this differs from state to state, but I can tell you that Rivers State bears most of the brunt of all these disruptions. And now, I'm not a prophet of doom, but I need to assure our gubernatorial aspirants that this disruption will continue. They're expected to continue. So you see a lot of things happen because of what the society and the climate and the environment is also churning out. So we expect a lot of these things to continue. So when making our plan, we should make our plan in spite of these disruptions. As a country, we have made attempts over the years to strengthen our health system. And I gave a chronology of all this from 1995 when we had a basic health care provision scheme, to currently when at the national level, we have been able to have a National Health Insurance Act, which makes it compulsory or mandatory for everyone to be enrolled or covered, at least by the social health insurance scheme. But this practice on ground is not exactly what it should be. So with all these interventions, the question is, where are we in this country when it comes to our health indices? If you look at this slide here, you see Nigeria with comparable countries in what we consider to be African countries, sub-Saharan Africa specifically. And then you see all the countries around there. You see Nigeria here on the fact that maternal mortality, which is the second column you see here, Nigeria is still hovering around 900. This is from the World Health Statistics of 2021. This is fact, this is global, and this is authorized reference, and this is, you see on the 5 mortality is still very high. So you can compare Nigeria to countries like Chad, or countries like, possibly countries like, not even Cameroon is even doing better, Liberia is doing better. And if you look at maybe Sudan, Sudan is not on this slide, and so on. This is a shame. And I think that going forward, part of the narrative we should change is to rid ourselves of such shameful pictures. Now, when it comes to the density of healthcare workers, we see we're also quite not very good, even if a lot of them are still migrating. And then when we see on the setting, we see a lot of issues, especially around the ASU strike. We know what has happened, in the last couple of months. ASU has been on strike. We just call off the strike. And then we also see doctors go on strike as well for one reason or the other. And we see also others migrating out of the country. This is the setting and this is the reality, we have on ground. And going forward, we need to look into all this and see how we can change the narrative with the transition, that is forthcoming. I wish we have some quietness, please. So we see our situation is quite there. We see how the health indices are. So let's go into how we have performed so far and see what needs to be done. If you look at the major constraint, you see that along all the building blocks of the health system. But I want to take special emphasis on what we can do. You understand? Because when we look at the challenges of the health system in Nigeria or health system strengthening, one of the things we find out is that health has never been on the political agenda. People play politics with health, but that is not that health is on the political agenda. And then we see the issues around unionism and misdirected health workers. And these are big issues that need to be controlled. We see the inefficient flow and management of financial resources. We see the high level of out-of-pocket payment, which means you pay for health service at the point you need them. So you pay out of pocket, and this has driven many people into either poverty or making choices that are inimical to their health. And we see the poor design of our health budget. Now, one of the things you need to grapple with in Rivers State, the complexity of the Nigerian health system, which Rivers State is part of. And this is one of the challenges we're having. And then we see the misaligned roles and priorities of donors, implementing agencies, and the near absence of accountability framework, for most of the policies, for healthcare in the state. So the question is, where do we go from there? How do we change the narrative, in the Nigerian health system with the coming democratic transition? I strongly believe we have a chance. The chance emanates from the fact that the 2023 democratic transition offers unique opportunity for the emergence of new sets of leaders, both at the federal and the state level in many states, and we also see that also the fact that changing narratives will begin by our recognition of the current state of affairs with the health system, that will enable us determined to do things differently. And I want to beg that most of our problems may not be the resources. It is how we're able to structure those resources and how we're able to improve our resourcefulness that will solve the problem. So for a political agenda in health, what do we expect? We expect, number one, the focus or the goals should be health system strengthening. And how do we achieve it? Or what should be the end point? The end point in this case should be the fact that everyone, irrespective of where you are or who you are, should be covered. We call that universal health coverage. That is the ability to access healthcare whenever you need it, however you need it, to the extent you need it, without thinking about the financial implication that will have on you. Number two endpoint is the fact that we should have both individual and collective health security. Your health or your right stops where mine starts. So we must all be secured. We must all be secured. And that informs the situation where we need to ensure that all preventative actions are taken to ensure that those that are affected or infected are isolated, and those who are not are kept healthier. So that's security. And then we must ensure that we achieve resilience in our health system. Like I did say earlier on, disruptions will keep coming, but it depends on how resilient our system is. We'll be able to cope with this disruption. And then when we look at it and change this narrative, we expect that those in government, should ensure that they take heed to this, what we call the 6 basic aspects of good governance. We have not seen that yet in Nigeria and in Rivers State, I make bold to say. And that's the fact that we need to redesign the process of selection, and change of those in authority. In other words, we must take those who take us seriously serious. You understand? Like what my chairman has said, we want to see inclusivity in government. We want to see that we resist cronyism and nepotism, which has been the bane of governance, at least in the last decade, in this country and in the state. We must ensure that people's voice counts, and we must ensure there is accountability, which in this sense means we've been answerable to the teeming population we are leading. We also want to see that there is political stability and there is no violence in the land, that we enable people perform their franchise, especially when it comes to making change, making their voices heard, and agitating when they need to do so. We also need, as government players, to ensure that we enhance formulation and implementation of sound policies that will make government effective, and also improve the regulatory functions of government. And that will mean building stronger institutions, within the state and in the country. And we must also ensure that we protect the rights and respect the rights of citizens, and institutions by ensuring that there is rule of law, and then endemic corruption in the land is cut off. I want to believe that some of you may take this as a political agenda. Now, if this is the case, the strategic option for changing the narrative in Rivers State is the fact that we need to look at the governance structure for health, first of all. How well are we doing, and what should we do at the end of the day? When you come to the governance structure, look at the overall governance. We have the State Ministry of Health. That appears to be in place, and all the departments and units appears to be working. But when you come to service delivery, we have the governance structure like the Rivers State Primary Health Care Board, the Hospital Management Board, the Board of the Tertiary Health Institutions. They appear to also be in place, and they appear to be working. But when we come to the issue of service delivery, we see also the issues where the NGOs need to come. This is not a government function, to ensure that, because government is a major player in healthcare delivery, it cannot be an umpire in a game where it's a major player. So we need to instigate the NGOs to set up policy mechanisms that will ensure that healthcare delivered at both private and public institutions are safe for patients and of high quality. We've not got this right. And then when it comes to healthcare financing, we have not got it right yet. We know that the Rivers State Contributory Health Protection Program has been signed into law, but there is no information that is functional, because we know it is not functional. So that is an agenda, I believe, for the next government to look into and see we don't play politics with health, but make sure that people's lives count. On the health workforce in Nigeria, we see what's happening. And this is because we do not have a focused commission to take care of healthcare workers. It depends on the general civil service that probably believes that you can do employment once in 3 years. Or maybe when the governor is leaving office, you come and open up the floodgate. Health does not work like that. Health is intrinsically human related or dependent. And as such, as people are leaving, they should be replaced. In fact, at any point, even someone is ill, there should be a replacement through a local means. And this should be afforded, that this can be easily achieved if we have a River State Health Service Commission in place that understands what it takes to keep reliable services in place. And when it comes to the issue of supporting infrastructure and commodity, we need to have a structure in place that would be accountable to the people. We do not want to see governors that would dole out money to some private hospitals at times that they feel happy and expect to get returns from it. We want to see that there is a structure in place, whatever name it is called, that will enable each parties, especially the public and the private parties, to understand how they can access, financial aid to be able to improve their system and make sure that they deliver quality healthcare to our people. What about the issue of research? I do know that unless we are able to focus on this issue, we go nowhere when it comes to development. And that is why we think we should be looking at countries like the United Kingdom, like we have the National Health Research, National Institute for Health Research in the United Kingdom, or the National Institute for Health in the United States, or the Canadian Institute for Health Research in Canada. We borrow a lead from that and see how we can commit our fund to do research that we can translate into improving our system. I believe if we are able to take all this to mind, we'll build a system that I consider will generate what we call universal health access, resilient health system, and then health security for all. At this point, I think I've made my case, because the remaining part of this slide are what I believe internal stakeholders will need to look at and cogitate over a period of time. Thank you very much for the audience, and I wish you well in all our deliberations.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful discourse. Thank you so much. As the discussion was going on, we had the governorship flag bearer of the National Rescue Movement, Honorable Ambassador Suboma Jacris, walk in. Welcome, sir. So right now we want to take on the symposium on the sub-teams by the gubernatorial candidates, where we'll be talking about mitigating the impact of brain drain on the dwindling human resources for health in Nigeria, as well as health sector reforms in the face of emerging public health threats. And the moderators for this very wonderful part of this section, the first is Dr. Oke Ibiabuchi, a consultant family physician and the medical director of Palmer's Hospital, Port Harcourt. Let's put our hands together for him. Also to join him in this very noble act is Dr. Christy Mato, a professor of anesthesiology and the pioneer chief medical director of the Palmer University Teaching Hospital, Port Harcourt. Let's put our hands together for you, ma'am.
Okay. Will you recognize them?
This one you said by this. Good afternoon, the chairman. We are representing Colonel
Akune. You're welcome. I want to stand on other existing protocols. Like someone had noted earlier, this is the first time we are having a scenario like this where we want to know the opinion of those that want to govern us, on health matters. For obvious reasons, and I know you people agree with us that it's just important that we begin to do so. We have questions to ask the participants. But before then, we want to introduce the participants because we don't know all of you. And we have Dr. Dawari George for Action Allowance, the governorship club bearer, being represented by Reverend Barrister Tony Arno, where the deputy governorship candidate. Please, Tony. I don't know. Okay, I think the high table could move. Thank you very much. So let them stay and parry our questions. Can we get
Yes, temporarily. Yes.
So let's take the
When we finish it.
So we have the second person, architect Toyeko Patrico MNI, the APC governorship flag bearer. Please, can we? The APC governorship flag bearer. Then we have Senator Magnus Abe, represented by the distinguished Senator Wilson Asinobi Aki, who is the Director General of the campaign team.
Thank you.
Then we have Honorable Ambassador Subomabo Jakrit of the National Rescue Movement, the governorship flag bearer. So we seem to have just 4 parties represented here. Is there any other person from another party, a flag bearer, or that's come to represent any of the parties? So we want to welcome everybody to this particular occasion. Please, we have 1 or 2 rules. We know that we have politicians. The tendency is for them to either sing for us. We love singing and dancing as politicians. Or your slogan. We would not want that. Please address our questions the way we would ask them. And we can assure you that as much as possible, our questions are not going to be personal questions. They are going to be questions that affect us as people in this state and as Nigerians. We also want the members of the audience and the politicians to, as much as possible, maintain the decorum. We want to hear them very well and know what they will tell us. So we want to start to avoid any bias, any accusation of bias. We want to start the questions in alphabetical order, and it has to be according to the party. Yes. So we have Action Alliance, the APC, the Social Democratic, and the National Rescue Movement. So the APC, question to the APC should come first. Then we have the Action Alliance.
No, Action Alliance.
Sorry, Action Alliance will come first. Then APC should come. After that, then the National Rescue Movement should come. Then the SDP. The Social Democratic Party. So this one is for Abe. National. Cool. Then this one is Judge. Maybe you start first. So thank you very much, members of the press, the gubernatorial assistants, and the representatives. We want to start the questions. I think it's timing. We are going to time you, please. Doctor, come, you be the timer now. So we want every person not more than 3 minutes. Please. So you have to talk within 3 minutes to give us our answer. Because we expect that you have this thing up there already. Yes. So our first question will go to the candidate for Action Alliance, Pastor Dawari George, being represented by the deputy governorship candidate, Reverend Barrister Tony Anoruewem. So your question, sir, is this. In most countries of the world, healthcare, are you listening? In most countries of the world, healthcare is often at the front burner during elections. In Nigeria, you will observe that that is hardly the case. Why do you think that is so? This question is for you, Action Alliance. Can I repeat the question? Yeah. I said, in most parts of the world, healthcare is often at the front burner during the election time. So why do you think that is hardly the case in our own plan?
Good afternoon, doctors, my colleagues in politics. My name is the Reverend Barrister Tony Anoruewem. I'm representing Dr. Dawari George of the Action Alliance. The question you asked is to be asked by everybody, answered by everybody, incidentally. Because in Nigeria, healthcare has always been seen as integral to our lives and well-being. The problem isn't that we're not addressing it the way you are seeing it as not being in the mainstream, in the bonus. is because often always the practitioners of politics have never taken the welfare of the people as the heartbeat of everything. But we're thankful that we in Action Alliance, we are indeed taking health as very, very core to our administration. Healthcare, as we know it, is not only just medicine and doctors. It goes beyond that. So for us in Action Alliance, we are actually going to deepen this, the system as it is. We have been able to understand from the letter given to us that are looking at ways of mitigating the brain drain that we're having, that's affecting everybody. We of Action Alliance are saying the gloom will soon be over, because we in Action Alliance are going to make sure that the healthcare receives maximum attention through training and retraining of our doctors, making sure that their remunerations are competitive, very, very competitive. At least I can bear record that in Rivers State has one of the highest remunerative values in Nigeria. So we believe that our government that is going to come will improve on it and make it better than it is. We also want to let us know that healthcare will not only be just the way we know them. We're also looking at the fact that we must indeed make sure that we as a government are going to provide scholarships, grants, and such things that will make the training of doctors, the need for them to remain in Nigeria and in our states very, 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 very attractive. We also intend in our government to ensure that those things that are indeed militating against them, including our tertiary institutions, are made better. You see, the pharmaceutical industry has not been very, very available in Rivers State. We also intend that researches that are going to come out from the knowledge we're going to get will indeed be deepened, such that Rivers State as a state will begin to not only have the joy of medical tourism, but also health of our citizens will improve dramatically. Okay, so we are saying that what you are seeing in the past, where former politicians don't care for the welfare of the citizens, will not be so in our own time, because we are seeing that as the heartbeat of our administration, the health of the workers, the health of the citizens, and our own health too as politicians.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But why do you think, like you said, that that's hardly the case in our country? Why?
It's hardly the case in our country because we as citizens, you see, doctors in Nigeria have not engaged the people. Doctors in Nigeria have not engaged the people. Often always, they go on strike, they go on fighting without making the people part of their fight. Because when you go on your strikes, you see, we suffer. But I know you are fighting for us. But when you engage the people to join you with the government, it becomes easier.
Okay, thank you very much. If I understand you, it's the doctor's fault. We are not talking a whole lot about the medical.
Yeah, you seem to talk about your own welfare.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me welcome all of you along with my colleague. The next question goes to Architect Tonye Cole. We've all heard about the mass exodus of healthcare professionals, particularly doctors. What are the push factors? What is pushing them out of the country? And what is pulling them to the other side? As governor of Rivers State, what would you do to change this? What are the factors that are pushing people away? What are the factors pulling them to the places they are going to? And how can you change that?
Sorry. Let me make sure that my timer is up. Okay, so I have 3 minutes to answer something that is so fundamental. Well, thank you very much for that question. Doctors in the house, have a great week, and I thank you. My wife is here. She's one of you, and so this is an appreciation to her.
On the push and pull factors, I will give you three things. First, what is pushing people away? The first aspect of it is lack of appreciation. Doctors are not appreciated, their work is not appreciated, they are not connected with, and so there's a lack of appreciation. Anywhere that you are not appreciated, you would look for where you will be appreciated. Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda, is a friend of mine. And Paul Kagame will pick up the phone and call people in diaspora, speaking to them personally, one-on-one, to bring them in, showing them appreciation, and then they will come back into the country to work for him. Doctors must be appreciated. Second, the condition of service. You already talked about that. You know that this is not just about pay. It's also about the environment you work in. It's also about the tools that you have to work with. It's also about an appreciation of the development of your talent and your brain. So opportunity must be that. Condition of service, you know that well. I won't talk much about that. But then there's sincerity of government. How sincere is the government in dealing with the issues that have to do with medicine? And I'll give you COVID as an example. When COVID hit us here, one of the things that I decided to fight against was having isolation centers away from the teaching hospitals. As far as I was concerned, the best place to put an isolation center was within the teaching hospital. Why? Because as soon as that pandemic will pass, all the equipment will disappear. I do not know where the beds are that we bought, where the ventilators are. I don't know where all the equipment that was put at Nkoya Stadium is today. But if you had put that at the teaching hospitals, either BMH or here, you will still have it here again today. Last, for now, what's the way forward? Since you asked about way forward, I hope there's a 1 minute to do this. So one, you have to enable doctors, first of all, for them to be able to earn multiply. I would suggest, for example, that doctors can, rather than all leave this country, they can do some work here and some work abroad. So you have locals. You can work 6 months there, 6 months here, and you can open that channel of relationships so that you have doctors coming back and forth, and we don't have to lose all in one way. It's something that I would like to see. I would also push on the infrastructure that we have here. We already have the infrastructure, and the prof already put all of that in. But what is service delivery, and how do we deal with service delivery? What I would push for would be that service delivery in itself should be infrastructure, internet, and technology based. Again, you can put that basic infrastructure in such a way that you can begin to have you can begin to have doctors provide services without necessarily having to leave their location. This is being done in the world all over the place now that you have consultations with doctors that are in Nigeria and not abroad. I have 3 seconds left. That's it. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask a follow-up question. Let me ask a follow-up question to that. No, Ambassador Jack Rich is next. What are the pull factors? He's talked about the push factors, doctors not being appreciated. What are the things that are pulling them? There's something very critical that we know. We're talking about in practical terms. Thank you, Architect Cool. So now, what are the factors that are pulling our healthcare professionals outside of this country? And how, as governor, would you mitigate that or bring it into the country to make sure that our doctors are not leaving? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking at the current statistics in our country today, you will understand that statistics shows that we have a minimum of 24,000 doctors over 200 million patients. As in, we have 24,000 doctors to attend to over 200 million patients. And if you look at the ratio, it is not okay at all. The causes are simple. When the doctors are actually not attended to the way they should be, for instance, their welfare, the doctors here in Nigeria, they are even better than those doctors abroad. For what we know, most of the doctors here, if you give them the enabling environment, they will showcase things that will marvel you. And so when those opportunities are not given to them,
they begin to look for greener pastures outside the country. And knowing that a USA doctor, the smallest person in the United States of America who is a doctor earns between $90,000 to $120,000 per annum. And then in Nigeria here, in Rivers State here, you've been working several years and you've not even seen a $10,000. So these are some of the reasons why they pull out. Secondly, the poor working conditions. The doctors are not well kept. Their environment is also something that, in fact, the last time I visited UPTH, I marveled. I said, why will an hospital be like this? And it rang in my head. I said, okay, I think by God's grace, these are one of the reasons why we need to watch keenly. And if you go look through my 5-point agendas, you will see that we said we are going to give quality health care delivery to all Rivers people. And we mean everything. Now, we are also going to see how we can address the area that's Moringbroad factory, the strange factory. We also look at how we can also revive it, especially for those of you that are called the pharmaceutical practitioners. You know, the doctors and the pharmacists, they are in the same line. And so if we go to revive that Moringbroad strange, factory, I think that will also expand the workforce, and then those things we import from outside will not be done again. Finally, I want to also tell you that we are going to visit the salary scale. You know, sometimes it is when the people are not well paid, they are stagnant in their offices. They are not promoted. These are some of the things that causes anger to them. Someone cannot be working overtime and is not promoted, is not paid. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We can see the enthusiasm there. This question goes to the representative of Senator Magnus Abe, SDP candidate. We have been plagued by immigration of doctors. You see, now and then, and everybody seems to be bothered about that we are all leaving this country to other countries. Some of these countries, a lot of them, enjoy better health systems, have better health infrastructure than this country. How do you think this immigration can be used positively for a healthcare delivery in this country? I don't know whether you get the question.
You can repeat it once more.
No, I said doctors have been leaving the country. Everything that has disadvantage may have some advantages. So what are the advantages? Can you tell us, articulate them a little, to this country? This is their immigration. How would it affect us positively?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The distinguished members of the table, my dear colleagues, the audience. Like you rightly said, anything that has advantage certainly will have disadvantages. In our own case, the migration of medical personnel out of this country to Western world is impacting us more negatively than it is impacting positively. Yes, a country like Cuba that has large number of medical personnel have used this medical personnel to get so much earnings. In the last few years, they have gotten billions of dollars from the medical personnel exported to other countries. And I think Nigeria can also, in other words, the medical personnel that you take outside this country, in most cases, get expertise because the facilities, they are better trained, they are better exposed to the facilities in those Western world. This very training and experience they garner outside of the country benefits the country, their home country. Nigeria uses about close to about $1 billion or something $1 million to train her personnel here. And in our case, this is what we lose. Why the Western world gain by it's indeed a difficult thing to look at the financial benefit that will come to us, because the people taking out, unless we have to devise means, we should have a kind of tax system on what our medical personnel gets outside this country. Secondly, a kind of restitution in the sense that the number of medical health officers we get outside, we should be able to get something through diplomatic discussions and understanding, some fund into this country. I think with that, Nigeria can benefit from the migration.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Architect Tony Patrick Cole, NMA, I could see you smiling. Can you add your voice to that? Can you enlighten us more on that, please? You know the question.
That was a very interesting question. Please, a round of applause to the senator. It was a hard question that was given to him. But I do agree. So there's something called reverse brain drain. For the last couple of years, Nigerian doctors have gone abroad, trained here very well, and then gone abroad and excelled. So we have some of the best doctors the world over across board. But where we are missing it is that we are not utilizing them at all. And now we have to open up a way to bring them back. It's reverse brain drain. But it means that you have to make them appreciated both here and abroad. One of the things that we must do if we're going to win this battle is that those who we're bringing back, those who we're inviting to come back here, they must also know that they have a part to play in nation building. This is really what it's about. They must play a part. But we have the best doctors, and well done, sir. They will come back.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think that's a very easy question, but you will appreciate that there's a whole lot we can gain from there. I don't think we have all the time to discuss this, but I want each of you, in all honesty, probably according to your manifesto, and what you think, because we're all Nigerians, we've seen what's going on in Nigeria in the health sector. We know about the Health Act, that was signed a few years ago. Please, can you individually tell us what you think you can do to the healthcare system, this country, then the health infrastructure? What do you think? Because see, we are here, most of us may be living. We live in droves. That is the truth. The figures given by Professor Alasia could be just a tip of the iceberg. Depending on what you say, we'll be encouraged, even as old as I am in the profession, to either stay or leave. So can we hear you in three minutes? So we have 12 minutes, please.
Even when doctors do operation, they don't do it in 3 minutes. But we are here.
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, what we are trying to articulate here it's not this, medical matters cannot be shortened in a small matter like this. When we get into office, we are going to have a very robust dialogue with the doctors. It's not something we can just come and speak like politicians and go away. Our government has deeper appreciation of the problem. So it's not something I can just simply say in 4 or 5 minutes and it's over. No, we are going to engage the doctors meaningfully. I'm very glad with the keynote address presented by the speaker. He did very, very well. In fact, I am glad that such information is available. So we have a place to start. But I can tell you that the brain drain you are looking at, as you rightly asked, may be an advantage. But you see, for now, it's a disadvantage because we don't have enough doctors. So the number that have left is disproportionate to the number remaining. So it's a problem. So we are saying that in our government, we shall do a lot to make sure that we create scholarships so that more people can have access to becoming doctors. The cost of training a doctor in Nigeria is very, very high. And if we allow it to be in the cost it is, then problem will arise where those who are passionate about the profession may not get in because of the cost. We also have, luckily for us in Rivers State, we have to create such scholarship that will be available to the poor and the rich, including those in public sector or public universities and private universities. We also have to know that Rivers State at the time was a problem due to security. Many people who are doctors began to have problems coming to practice in Rivers State because of kidnapping and such unsafe habits. We in our government, the key matter to us is security. If the state is not secure, nobody wants to come, no matter whether you're paying the 1 million per month. If the state is not secure, they're not coming. So we are taking security at the height of what matters to doctors. Because see, doctors work in the day and in the night. If they cannot move freely, whether in the day or night, they can't practice. So we are taking security as a very core part of our governance. Additionally, we also are letting you know as doctors that it is very key for us to understand that we need to be collaborative. You see, some of those medical practices in our villages and towns need to be deepened, need to be understood, because you see, health is not just medicine and doctors. Health is also about the people. We need to make sure that the primary part of health is taken deeply by us. We also want to make sure that the citizens are engaged daily in what medicine is all about. That medicine is not just about going to doctor, because if they are not taught, they put pressures on the doctors. So if they are taught on what they should know early, you find that some of the things that become pressures on doctors and can be lessened when the citizens are educated medically in what they need to know and understand. Actually, finally, I want to, because of the time, I have 1 more minute left. I want to let us know these things can be very challenging when you talk about medicine in 1 or 2 minutes. But I want to let us know that our government is also thinking about what to do about this insurance scheme for everybody. Because see, sometimes why people don't go to hospital is also the cost. If we can find a way to assist people to have costs or funding that can help them go to hospital, they can do so with more confidence instead of going to quacks and getting contaminated in ways that are not too good. So we are thinking about insurance scheme for our citizens comprehensively in such a way that everybody will have access to, even though it may not be as it should be, but let people have access to health in such a way that they will not be a burden either to themselves or to their dependents. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister Tony. That's a wonderful one. So, architect, cool, can we hear you?
Okay. So the first reality is that people vote with their feet when they are not satisfied with the system. It doesn't matter what you say. If we make political promises and the time comes and they don't see a reality as it affects them directly, they will go to their feet. What we have seen over the last 30 years has been an exodus of people who have been totally dissatisfied with a system that has not appreciated them. So if we're going to deal with this, and we have to deal with it with the reality of what we're talking about, the first aspect, is that people must be appreciated. So what we have to do here is appreciate the doctors that we have. If not, they will continue. But how do you appreciate? One way is to appreciate in welfare, but that is just one aspect of it. There are many more aspects that we must do. And let me point out three that are very quick. The first aspect of it is that the infrastructure that you have, not just infrastructure in buildings, but infrastructure and equipment and all must also be locally made. People must be able to afford and work with the tools that they have here in a way that they will be remunerated properly here. Remuneration, very, very important. The second way that we must be able to deal with this is that there are opportunities that people are running to. How do you bring them back and what must we do? So as a government, we know that healthcare is both a social and an economic thing. There's a social aspect of it, which means that those who cannot afford healthcare must be given the opportunity to afford it. So my colleague has talked about an insurance scheme, and that insurance scheme must work. But insurance works in the second way, that once you bring an insurance, it means that you must be able to pay for affordable healthcare. So this must be done. So insurance and healthcare must be put tight together. Why is that? Because you must be able to be paid your wages. That which is important to you, you must earn it, and you must earn it properly here. We've also talked about security, but let me put it this way. With security comes law and order. So one of the three pillars that we have is peace and security, social welfare, which are the two things that are affecting us here. But the last aspect of it is developmental infrastructure. Without peace and security and without social welfare, you cannot develop anything at all. So the people, you are at the center of it. We will continue losing doctors until we begin to make doctors the center of our policies. If we do not feel what you feel, if we don't work the way that you work, if we don't understand what your pain points are, you will vote with your feet and you will move out. Why? Because you are trained in a skill that is globally needed, globally recognized. We must make sure that Nigeria recognizes your skill, wants your skill, values your skill, pays for your skill, and retains your skill. And that is what we will do. God bless you.
Very much, Architect Ko. We have heard you. That's quite impressive. So can we hear from you, distinguished Senator Westenaki?
I think the problem in our system has not always been knowledge of what to be done or knowledge of what should be done. But the critical aspects of our system that is mitigating against progress in the health sector, equally on other sectors of our economy, is the political will to implement all these programs. As we came in here, we saw the professor, he read out sufficient information that any person could use and work. We have those information, but the ability, the political will to implement any of these things has been the major problem. And secondly, it is important that we separate politics. We separate politics from governance, so that once you are elected, you should know that your responsibility is to the people, both in the health sector and other areas. And importantly, there is the need to recognize that migration is a natural phenomenon, a movement of an uncomfortable place to a more comfortable place. Even the animals does it. Even the bird does it. They move from, that's why we call it green pasture. They move from where there is no good pasture to where there is green pasture. So the only thing you have to do is to water your ground. How do you water your ground? Provide all the needed facilities, provide all the needed encouragement, motivate the medical personnel. They are there. The demand has been there all along. The only reason we don't have any progress so far is the will to implement any of this. And I want to also assure you that because it will be difficult to even meet the World Health Organization recommendation of one doctor to 600 persons. There is a belief that it will take Nigeria almost 120 years to meet that standard. So if it will take us that long, what do? Then you have to focus more on preventive medicine. Preventive medicine that will reduce strain on the people. And how do you go about it? This thing had always been there. Train your social workers at the local level. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. So if it is the preventive medicine is working, then the secondary and the tertiary health sectors will not be overstretched. So I want to assure you that we are going to give so much impetus to preventive medicine and also to create more better environment in our local areas. There is a statistic that shows that we have over 600 persons. The major area of our medical health sector is malaria. And what are the issues? Bringing down to River State. River State is a wet state, and the wet state encourages water accumulation. And water accumulation encourages mosquito to breed. And the only way, one of the major way you can stop mosquito breeding in our area is to clean the space, is to make the environment freer, make the environment cleaner. And also it will cost you less in buying nets, in buying drugs. So we think that preventive health care, it should be one of our center area of concentration. And secondly, we have facilities. Most facilities are being cited based on political factors, not on needs. So in our case, we are going to look at facilities that are based on demography of a place. You don't just go and put a medical center where there are nobody. And these medical centers are just waste. So in our own case, we are going to cite medical facilities. We are going to encourage medical facilities where they will be needed, not just because we want to satisfy one big man in a particular place. So it is going to be a more reasoned, a more calculated, a more financed, beneficial induced decisions we are going to make. So we are going to change the narrative. We are committed to changing the narrative. And let me tell you, the action of the head of the government determines the attitude of the followers. Once the man at the head shows seriousness, when the head of the government, the body language shows that he is serious, every other person will stand up and be serious. And that is what we are going to do. And Magnus Survey is determined to do that in River State. And I want to tell you that come 2029, after that, we are going to see a different thing in the health sector of River State. I assure you that is a promise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the distinguished senator. We've heard you loud and clear. Our last question should go to Honorable Ambassador Subumabe Chris of the National Rescue Movement.
Thank you very much.
We want to know, what would you do to our health system? What's your opinion? In 5 minutes, that's a lot of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Once again, let me give a very broad light on what I will be able to do with my team if being given the privilege, the opportunity to lead the state. You see, most of us here, we will all talk and we will always want to speak even better than anyone. But the truth remains that for those of us who have been fortunate enough to travel overseas, we see what they do. We see the quality of services they deliver, but we don't replicate it in our state, in our country. This 2023 election is something that God has given us a platform to change the narrative for good. I want to say that first, what I will do to change the system and to bring a stabilized health care delivery into our state, because first, we have to address the state before going to the center. Charity begins at home. We are going to review the salaries of the practitioners, the doctors, and all of them. Knowing fully well that that is one of their major problems. They work like horses and then they eat like ants. The way they eat cannot be commensurate to what the job they offer. And so these people are aggrieved at all times. So we are going to see how we can make sure we negotiate with them in such a way that their salaries will be rewarding. We have to also make sure we benefit from the migration. We should create a platform for knowledge exchange in line with the modern technology, and giving them the same tools that the practitioners use. Because when you give them the same tools that the people that are going for migration, whatever they use here, once you replicate it here in the state, in real Nigeria, you will see that they will always live to that standard. We will also create a healthcare sector that is indemnity insurance. That is, we have to ensure that we insure the health workers, because most of them are victims. The health workers are more victims than we, the people living, ordinarily. Because if you look at the COVID-19, it exposed it. When the COVID-19 pandemic came, statistics has it that majority of the people who died were health practitioners and, of course, their families. And so, looking at the circumstance, looking at what is bedeviling them, we have to see how we can ensure them, give them health insurance in such a way that every health worker will be assured of going out there to deliver his best for the people, because already is protected. Of course, training is one major factor. We have to train and retrain our people, the practitioners, the doctors, because knowledge is not something you learn one day. On a daily basis, there are innovations, bringing them to the recent and to the most modern facilities. Finally, oh, thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, can we give all of them another round of applause? Thank you very much. Please, before you go, leave, just hold on. We want to thank you all for all the comments that you made, all the suggestions, and what your plans are concerning the health sector. I hope you know you were live. And as a result of that, we are going to hold you accountable when you become governor. So all the things that you have told us, the issue of the political will to implement, you can't play politics with human lives. So when you become governor, we expect that you will engage the doctors like you have said. You're going to look at the remuneration. You're going to look at health insurance, especially as doctors are concerned, considering what happened with COVID-19. And you're going to make doctors the very center of all of the plans concerning in the health sector. You will water our ground, and you will replicate what you see out there in our own state. So we will be encouraged to stay. You will create a knowledge platform for knowledge exchange, and you will train and retrain doctors. One of the things I want to let us know before we go back to our seats is the fact that it doesn't matter how much money you have. There are certain ailments that if you have that illness, you can't fly abroad. Torsion of the testis is one of them. Ovarian cyst, twisted ovarian cyst is another one. Acute appendicitis, you can't go anywhere, you need to take it out. So it is important for us to improve what goes on in the health sector, because as we speak, as we're seated here, I can tell you that the statistics show that 65% of us here, if we are not making, we're making plans to live up to 65%. If they haven't considered it actively, they are thinking about it. So it is important to encourage the health sector, encourage the doctors and the nurses here so they can stay on in the state and take care of the populace. Thank you very much.
Please, may we have a brief photograph with all the gubernatorial candidates, please? Just right in front here, sir. Please, can the LOC members and SOC members come closer? Please, may the members of the high table kindly go back to the high table, please. Thank you so much. Okay, at this point, we'd like to take goodwill messages. May I invite to give her goodwill message, Dr. Mrs. Sylvia Cole, please. Please give her a warm welcome as she gives her goodwill message.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, senior colleagues. Good afternoon, gubernatorial candidates and their representatives. Ladies and gentlemen of the press. I'm here to just thank you all for coming here and saying what you've said so far. I'm just going to add a few thank yous. And the thank yous are to the gubernatorial candidates for making us the pulse of the nation. A few years ago, poll was done, and the average man on the street had health as number 4 on their list. The first thing on their list was food. The second thing on their list was security. The third thing on their list is power, electricity, and then they start thinking of their health. And I believe that is one of the reasons why so far we have been number 4 on their template. Today they have brought us to number 1. Please clap for the gentlemen. I'm going to also say something regarding what my senior colleague said about the golden hour. We all know that there are a lot of conditions that you cannot treat abroad, not because they can't be treated there, but you will not make it there. I keep really reminding my political friends that in that golden hour, if things are not done right, the brain is dead. The kidneys are gone, liver, heart, vital organs gone. Of what use is the human being when the vital organs are dead? So it takes 6 hours to fly any of you out of this country. It takes more than that to arrange the air ambulance that's going to come and pick any of you, no matter how much money you have in your pockets. Nigeria has to have first-class healthcare facilities for Nigerians to survive. So I thank all those gentlemen for putting us again as number one. And I will be reminding them on your behalf. It will be my duty to remind them. There have been political emergencies. I'm not going to speak of certain, but I'm just going to tell of one story of a certain major general that was ill, left Asurok because he didn't trust the doctors in Asurok, drove to his home state. By the time he got to his home state, there was no vein to be found. All he had was gastroenteritis. He died from dehydration. I can't call names, but I'm just reminding you of that. And that I'm reminding the political people. They are gentlemen of the politics that in this country that have money, have the power, have the ability to make our country great when it comes to health, and travel abroad and make abroad great. I'm going to start speaking pidgin because we can be great here and there, and Nigerians are known as the best doctors worldwide, both here and in the diaspora. So if a Nigerian can be the best doctor here and the best doctor in the diaspora, then all we need is a good environment, the milieu, to perform. So thank you for saying that today live, because we'll be holding you to ransom. When I say ransom, nothing serious. So it's just a matter of reminding everyone today that this is a very important way of engaging the Nigerian doctor. This is a very important way of engaging the policy. This is a very important way of engaging the people and reminding them that health is wealth. There's a saying in my place that what you have is your wealth. And we have a lot of educated, brilliant, intelligent doctors trained in this land, leaving because they do not have the right milieu of environment to perform. So it's important that that milieu is improved, not just by telling them you will increase their salaries, but please pay those salaries. Because from what I've heard today, there's a backlog of salaries that needs to be paid. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having me give this goodwill message.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for her. As we draw to a close to the program, we have a remark by the Permanent Secretary, Rivers State Ministry of Health, Dr. Ndidi Uche, ably represented by Dr. C. Manda. Let's put our hands together for him, please.
Thank you very much. I will stand on the existing protocol. My job today is very simple because I know that the retinue of speakers have said a lot. It suffices to say that I'm glad and among the doctors who have made this occasion very possible today. I want to say that the Rivers State Ministry of Health, the government of Rivers State, fully supports what we are doing. I want to also say that we now know that doctors are
the number one agenda in the minds of every person that wishes to come to governance. And that is very, very important, and it so should it be. We want us to take our work very seriously. We want us to know that together here, we can get things right again. We want to believe that rising from this meeting, having seen the statistics, having known that we are the best home and abroad, having known that we have been exposed, and now that we have, as we should say, the political will or the support that we need, it is time to change our position, take very seriously our work, and that is providing health to the people. Once there is health, there's nothing you cannot get. We do not need to leave our environment to get anything. Everything can be sourced here. On this note, I want to thank the organizers, people who have come to grace the occasion, and more importantly, the politicians. Please always remember what you have said, because we will hold you accountable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And the next on the list is the closing remark by the chairman of the occasion, Major Abba.
The chairman organizing the committee of this occasion, all protocol duly observed. I thank all of you for finding this time from all your direction to be here. Our able political aspirants, all that they said to us, it is well understandable to us. And I'm very glad today that the Nigeria of today is not that of yesterday. I can say everybody is wise now. So whatever you talk to somebody, know that you say it to somebody, not that you just talk and you go. Because initially we call it said and do not do. So this time around, you say it and you must do it. I know I'm not a politician. I'm not into politics. But what you say and you do not do it, you will not go free this time around. So I thank all of us, and I thank them for finding their time to be with us and enlightening us about their own ambition to take Nigeria forward. And to our professional colleagues, from your various directions that you come, the Lord will lead us back home. I will practice our work accordingly. The glory of this medical practitioner is something that our fellow leaders in our country take it for granted. That is why you see us migrating. Not that we don't, Nigerians, our doctors, they don't like our country. It's our country. We have been based only here by God and not human beings. So it's our own country and we love our country. So if we are properly taken care of, what makes our brother to, look for a way to get a greener pasture according to how they put it. So I thank all of us. What I've said today, it should be said and do, and not to say and go away. As you are going back to your various destination, I pray that the Lord will lead you back home successfully, and the job will continue. I will do it, and the glory will still come to our medical.
I have analyzed every scenario and cross-checked each possibility. It is time to play from the chance.
Thank you very much, our chairman of occasion. At this point, may I invite the Secretary of NMA Rivers State, Dr. Hope Avunda, to give his vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the State Officers Committee, the State Executive Council, and the local organizing committee of the 2022 Physicians Week of NMA Rivers State, we wish to express our profound gratitude to all our special guests, speakers, aspirants, moderators, and indeed all members of NMA Rivers State who have made out time to join us in this opening ceremony. For all your contributions towards the success of this Physicians Week, we say thank you. We are grateful to our medical elders, the head of private and public medical facilities in Rivers State, and all affiliate heads, our distinguished medical practitioners for actively participating and making numerous contributions to the success of this event. We wish you God's blessings and protection as you continue to support the growth and status of NMA Rivers State. God bless NMA Rivers State. On this note, I would like to call on Dr. Bright Ohoji to give us the closing prayer.
Let us pray. Our Father, we appreciate you for today. We thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you brought us here for this opening ceremony. We thank you for the success of the program. Thank you for the guests that came. Thank you for doctors present. We thank you because we didn't hear any bad news, no accidents on the way. We thank you because the program was a huge success. We ask Jehovah that to depart, you will depart with us. You lead us safely to various homes and destinations. Lord, the way you brought us here, you will take us home in Jesus' name. We pray for every issue and every topic and everything that was discussed here today. We ask Jehovah, you will help us to put them to practice. Especially, Lord, our politicians have come to make promises, that have come to say what they will do, how to better the healthcare sector in this country, in this state. We ask, Lord, you will hold them responsible. The Lord, they will not make promises, get into the office, and they will forget their promises. Father, we desire a very good health system for this, for our people in this nation. Lord, it is not a good thing that we are living, that people are living, doctors are living. We desire to see, oh God, a situation where people will be proud of the health sector. Lord, is achievable, and we know you will help us. Lord, we pray for the SOC. We thank you for the wisdom you've bestowed upon them to organize this program. We ask, Lord, you will strengthen them the more. We ask that subsequent activities and programs shall be more successful than this. Let it be that the end of your name shall be glorified. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you very much. Please, while we are standing, let's please just keep standing for the national anthem. Group photographs will be taken here, then eventually we'll go downstairs. Okay, all group photographs will be taken downstairs. Thank you, everybody.